So today we've got myself and Judy Carmen on the line. I'm going to go ahead and start by welcoming everyone. And to let everyone know who I am, my name is Lisa Levinson, and I work for In Defense of Animals. And I started this vegan spirituality project many years ago. And the intention of it is to explore as a community what it means to be vegan as a spiritual path, that it goes beyond our diet, much deeper into our souls as to the fabric of who we are, and to create events and forums just like this one so that we can talk about that and discuss it and really build community around it. I'll also be doing a lot of the tech parts of the call tonight. So what that means is that when you join in, I'll explain how the muting works, and I will also explain how to raise your hand when we have question and answers. And that's going to be my role, and I'm co-facilitating with Judy Carmen. One other piece of information to give you is that we do have these vegan spirituality groups across the country, and people meet in person every month. In fact, I had a meeting last night in Los Angeles with our group here. But across the country and even in Canada, we do have other groups that meet regularly. So if you are interested in joining an in-person group, you can find more information at www.veganspirituality.com. And if you look up Our Services, our tab that says Our Services, you'll see all the different cities that have these meetups. And you can also start your own by contacting me at veganspirituality@gmail.com. The last piece of info I want to give you is that this program was adopted by In Defense of Animals as part of their Sustainable Activism Program, which offers services for animal activists so that they can continue to do their noble work with support and some spiritual and emotional resources. So that's a little more of the background to see the bigger picture here. And then Judy, how about if you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Carmen, and I got involved with vegan spirituality when I met Lisa and just loved the idea. I wrote a book called Peace to All Beings, which was kind of very much in harmony with what she was doing. And so we've been kind of working together since then. And I also am involved with the Circle of Compassion, which is circleofcompassion.org. Will Tuttle and Madeline Tuttle and I put that together, and I send out an update every week. It comes out on Monday, and so you can go to the circleofcompassion.org to sign up for that. And basically I just pick a topic that it relates to possibly something that's going on currently and relates to prayers that a certain group of animals might need. And so I'm real involved with that. And then at one point, Lisa and I decided that because a lot of people are in towns where there aren't any vegan spirituality meetup groups, that we would have one just on the phone so that people could join us who don't have access to one in person, or even if they do, they could join us, and we would love to have them. We're going to have an hour program, and we try to honor that because we know everybody's time is very valuable, and we so appreciate everybody that's joined us. So at the end of the hour, we will stay on the line if anyone has questions or comments that they want to make. But the actual program will end in 1 hour. And let's see, I wanted to mention that we'll be giving a little presentation that will relate to Mother's Day today, and then we're going to open it up for discussion, and I'm talking about before the end of the hour. And our question that we want everyone to think about that we'll discuss is, what does it mean to be a vegan mother? So this is our way of honoring mothers of all species tonight on Mother's Day. So, Lisa, I think what we're going to do next is talk about Mother's Day. Did you have anything else, Lisa, that you wanted to mention before we got started?
No, I think we're ready to dive right in.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to start out, open with a prayer, and this happens to be the prayer that I wrote for the update that I mentioned earlier for the Circle of Compassion. And it is to honor Mother's Day. So this is the prayer. Let it be that this Mother's Day inspires a mass awakening of humanity. May every person who loves and honors their own mother see with new eyes the tenderness and love that motherhood brings to the world, no matter who the mother is, no matter what species she represents. May every person who loves their own mother suddenly grasp with deep understanding that all mothers long to care for their babies and suffer great sadness when they lose them. May every person who respects and cares about human mothers open their hearts to all mothers and vow to go vegan in order to stop the suffering of sacred motherhood. In honor of Mother's Day, may all people become vegan angels and refuse forevermore to support the violent industries that cause such immense pain and death. We especially call on all human mothers to recognize their heart link and their kinship with mothers of all species. We give thanks that the divine feminine energy of love and compassion is more powerful than any industry that is fueled by greed and fear. We give thanks that we have awakened to the beauty and the wonder that we see in the eyes of mother cows and pigs and so many others. Our Mother's Day promise is this: through prayer, focused intention, vision holding, and powerful actions, we stand with you, we speak for you, and we will not give up until your children are free from human violence and humanity has matured and become the true, loving beings we are meant to be. And so it is. And so that is the prayer. And what I wanted to talk about a little bit is Mother's Day itself was established in 1870 by Julia Ward Howe. She was a Unitarian abolitionist and a suffragette. She worked for women's rights and the rights of many people. And the reason she wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation was because she wanted mothers to unite to promote world peace. And so she wanted to rally women together to oppose all war, so that her idea was that governments and societies would not revert to war, because mothers would basically are the ones that would teach these governments how to have peace and not revert to war. And a lot of that came out of her and many desires to stop war so that the mother's sons would no longer be killed in war. And so it really is a very deep and meaningful day. It's more than just chocolates and flowers. And so when we look at it from that point of view, we can see that it's very simple to expand out this concept of Mother's Day to all mothers of all species. There's a movie that some of you may have seen called Iron-Jawed Angels, and it was a movie about the women who worked to get the vote for women. They spoke out for the rights of women to vote and to not be owned. And a lot of these women in this, if you watch the movie, well, it's a sad movie to watch, but it's very true. They were tortured and put in jail. Some of them were even force-fed because they tried to fast in protest. And so, of course, their suffering was not in vain, because women did end up getting the vote. And we've made tremendous progress since then. There's still a lot of progress to be made, of course, all over the world for women and girls. But because of these iron-jawed angels, as they called them, a lot of progress has been made. So, but in my prayer that I send out before Mother's Day, I asked that we consider and move toward having a Mother's Day for all animals, for the billions of mothers all over the world who lose their babies to people who steal their babies, steal their eggs, steal their milk that belongs to their babies, and are kidnapped and killed, forced into slavery, raped, and all of these awful things. These are atrocities against mothers that it's almost too much to bear. But with an iron will, we must do so for them. We must find a way to give them a Mother's Day and to raise awareness that those mothers are worthy of freedom as well. So that gives us some food for thought about all the mothers, the billions, literally billions of mothers, especially the chickens and the cows, as well as the pigs. Well, you can just go on and on with all the different animals who lose their babies because of human greed and fear and the concept that it's all right for us to use animals in any way we want to. And, of course, that's the idea of domination, that domination might make right. So Will Tuttle talks a lot about, in his World Peace Diet, he talks a lot about the divine feminine and how that needs to be more recognized in this world in order for the power of feminine energy to enter its final stage, which is really what we're seeing happening. And this will help not just women in the world, but women of all species. I'm going to read from his book on page 47, where he says, rape is a central metaphor of our culture and an enormously serious problem, with a woman or girl being raped on average of every 2 minutes. As in animal agriculture, where the female and the maternal are brutally dominated and exploited for profit, in our human society, feminine and maternal values are suppressed. This ongoing invisible domination of the feminine and female animals has enormous consequences and goes a long way toward explaining the lower status of women in our culture. And he talks at length about how animal agriculture 10,000 years ago was kind of a precursor to a male-dominated society. Viewing animals merely, I go on in this paragraph, viewing animals merely as meat and objects to be consumed, we find that women, like animals, are also viewed merely as meat to be used sexually. And Carol Adams, in her books, talks quite a bit about that, how a lot of advertising makes women look like food in many ways and sexual objects. So, but the good news is that a lot of prophecies and a lot of news that we're seeing are saying that the divine feminine is rising in our culture, and that the balance of male and female energy it can happen if enough people wake up in time. And I mention in my book, Peace to All Beings, that a number of different futurists, such as Jean Houston, talk about the possible human and jump time and the great paradigm shift that's coming. So there's a lot of hope. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin talks about a new humanity coming into form. And so we're really talking about something very real, that the energy is there happening. It's extremely powerful, the feminine energy, and it's because it's based in love, it's much more powerful than the fear and greed, as I mentioned before, that runs society right now. So the hope is really huge, and the old order is breaking down, and we see a lot of chaos in the world now, but in a way we can look at that as a good thing, because systems have to disintegrate in order to reintegrate into a higher form, and that's what we're looking at. Order does come out of chaos, and this global yearning for peace and for kindness is very clear. We're seeing it everywhere, more and more signs of it. And so I believe that we can hope and pray, and if for people who prefer the word, hold a focused thought, that's fine too. It's all the same, because when we focus our energy, our thoughts in one direction, it magnetizes that good energy back to us and helps manifest it into the world. So I'll close with this quote from Chardin that I love, because it's so hopeful. It's all a spiral of becoming, he says. The people of your time will be taking the tiller of the world. And he's talking about us and the new generations that are coming up. But you cannot go directly. You have to go in spirals, he says, touching upon every people, every culture, every kind of consciousness. It is there that the field of mind will awaken, and we will rebuild the earth. The present chaos is not the end of the world, but the labor pains of a new earth and a new humanity coming into new form. So I love that, because it is so filled with hope for the future and a belief that we really can evolve to become a human race that honors animals and liberates all animals and never uses them again. A vegan world. So, Lisa, did you want to add anything, or shall we open it up for discussion of our question? What does it mean to be a vegan mother?
Well, I will add something, Judy, and I love what you shared so much. It was very deep and meaningful. In fact, I think of you as the mother of vegan spirituality because of your the way you're nurturing this new Homo ahimsa into being, the kindness and compassionate human race that we can co-create together. So thank you so much. And I also wanted to mention that our vegan spirituality group in Los Angeles, we held an event yesterday that was called Mothering Ourselves, a soul spa for vegan women. And we spent the day being creative and doing art, music, dance, sharing, creating vegan food together and offering a blessing for that food. And so there are ways to celebrate Mother's Day where you include all species. And this is a central question that we asked ourselves, and so we'd like to share it with our group today about what does it mean to be a vegan woman. And you can interpret that as your own being a mother or of human children, or it could be being a mother of non-human animals. It could also be mothering a project, giving birth to a project. And if you're a man, if you're male, then you might consider that question as, what about the feminine within you? What about the vegan woman within you? How do you express your mothering towards others?
So now people can raise their hands, right?
Yes. So the next step is if you'd like to answer that question, you can press 1 on your phone, or if you are on the computer with us and you're part of the social webinar, then what you can do is there's a box in the upper right corner. If you press the hand, there's 5 of them, and you can press number 1. And then we'll see, that you have a question or you'd like to make a comment about what does it mean to be a vegan mother. So the floor is open. If you'd like to share, then what I'll do is once I see that you raised your hand, I'll go ahead and unmute you. So the way to do that again is just to press number 1. The easiest way is probably press number 1 on your phone, the phone pad.
While we're waiting for someone to press number 1, I had a thought while you were talking, Lisa, that in a way we're all midwives birthing this new vegan society into being. But I see somebody raise their hand, Maria.
Yes, it's Maria. So we will unmute you and welcome you. Hold on one brief moment.
Hi, thank you.
Hello,
can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi.
we can.
Oh, great. So, in thinking about your question, I don't have any human or non-human children at the moment, but I think one of the qualities that a good mother has is patience with her children. And so I've been vegan now for 16 years, and that's something that I'm really learning as I go when I'm talking to people who aren't vegan, that it requires a lot of patience and compassion for them, even though we feel a lot of urgency behind getting everybody to go vegan. I've found that being patient and having compassion towards people who don't fully understand why they should go vegan, and maybe even after telling them they still don't get it, or they're just not able to get it yet. That I think for me, that's what being a vegan mother means, is showing that same patience and compassion that I would for my children, extending that to other humans who aren't yet vegan.
Oh, I love that, Maria. That's really beautiful. And that's one of the difficult things, I think, that we all experience is we want people to get it right away. And sometimes it takes a long time.
Yeah.
I like that very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate that too, because that is a quality of motherhood. It is that patience for others to learn and to grow. And I love the way you framed that, because that will help me as well as I talk to people who are newly approaching veganism and help them with that patience of a mother. So I really appreciate your sentiment. Thank you. Well, I think we'll if you want to share any more, please do, Maria. And if not, then what I'll do is I'll put you on mute, and then we can see if anyone else has anything.
I'll say one more thing. I didn't realize I was still unmuted. But thinking about it that way, something that has really helped me in thinking of like as an activist, that I think it's very easy for us to fall into sort of a victim mode, because we feel like we're representing non-human animals who are very much victims of humans. And so it's pretty easy to get angry at people who aren't vegan and look at them as being kind of like the perpetrator. And then we're not in a good communication with them, because now it's us versus them. So what I do that helps me is if I think of them as children, even though they're oftentimes adults, but if I think of them as children, it allows me to have a little more patience with them, because you wouldn't be mad at a child who didn't understand something, and you wouldn't see them as much of a perpetrator. So I guess I would just, that's a little bit more interpretation on that idea of being a vegan mom and approaching other adults. Sometimes just holding that image of them being a child in your mind can give you that patience.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really helpful, I think. And it's like you said, they can't really help it if they're a child and haven't been taught. And
right.
So much of this takes a long time for some people to learn all the ins and outs of it and be willing to go against society. Because that's what it requires, is to question authority and decide, okay, then I'm willing to stand on these new beliefs no matter what happens. People are going to criticize me and reject me. Some of them I know. But that takes a lot of maturity to be able to do that. So, yeah, I think your metaphor there is really, really excellent, and it's going to help me too. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, thanks, Maria. So I will go ahead and mute you now. And just for other folks so they know, when you're asking your questions and we're responding and other people are responding, we will definitely keep you on the line so that you can easily respond. So thanks again. We really appreciate people speaking up, because this is a conversation that we're having, and we're hoping to engage all of you in that conversation so that we can share these thoughts and share these experiences together.
While we're waiting.
So wondering.
Oh, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I was just going to say, if anyone else has a thought about that, even commenting on their own ways that they mother, or how veganism relates to their mothering, any of those sorts of topics are within what we're hoping to discuss. So feel free to press 1 anytime.
Going back to the idea of why Mother's Day was founded in the first place, so that mothers would no longer lose their sons in war, and of course now daughters as well, then it really helps us look at the war against animals that's been going on for at least 10,000 years, and since animal agriculture started, and who knows before that. And so in a way, we could think of ourselves, both men and women, as mothers of these animals who are being targeted in war that they didn't start, and they have, no fault at all, but like soldiers in a way, being used as fodder, they're being shot down. And as mothers, or with the mother feelings that we have for them, we want to prevent that from happening, just like the mothers back when Mother's Day started. And that was, let's see, I had that written down somewhere. Is it early 1870? Yeah. And I just think that's a beautiful concept that she was trying to get started. And think about back then, 1870, before women had the vote in the United States, and having the audacity to say, let's honor mothers and their love for their sons, that they don't want to be killed in a needless war. So, and here we are, and that's what we're saying too. We don't want these animals to be killed in a needless war. They're our children, or that's one way to look at it, and we want to protect them.
Judy, I think that's beautiful, and I really appreciate the way that you're framing that as well, thinking about the animals as our children and the war that's against them. I wonder if folks who don't understand veganism might begin to understand it a little more using that metaphor about peace and war and trying to protect our children.
Mm-hmm. Well, and thinking of the mothers themselves, the mother cows, for example, who lose their babies, the dairy cows, lose their babies over and over and over because they've been impregnated every single year, and how they suffer with the loss of their babies, and their babies, how they suffer from losing their moms, and all the little baby chicks who never see their moms, are hatched in hatcheries, and so many people nowadays are raising chickens in their backyards and saying, aren't they cute, and this is so much fun to have chickens for pets, not realizing that those chickens were taken from their mothers and never saw them, and didn't have the mother to teach them how to eat and be chickens, and to sit underneath her wings and be comforted. And that's a big piece that people do not get. I heard about an acquaintance the other day who went down to the farm store and bought chickens so that she could have eggs, and she says, I'm never going to kill the chickens, but she doesn't realize she's already supported the killing of all of the boy chickens that were from the same eggs, or same mother as the little girl chickens that they now have. So yeah, I mean, the whole issue of mothering in animal agriculture is just gigantic. And as Will talks about, it has so much similarity to the oppression of human women with under the patriarchy that has been with us for the last 10,000 years. But it's coming to an end, and we're not saying it's going to turn into a matriarchy. We're talking about a balance of male and female energy that is based in love and cooperation instead of domination. Well, I still don't see any hands raised. Lisa, there's one. Hi, Marcia. I think Lisa's going to...
Thank you. Thanks for raising your hand, Marcia. I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your question or say your comment.
I don't have any children.
Hi, Marcia.
Myself. Hi. I don't have any kids myself, but when I was a teenager, my mother allowed me to babysit for some of the neighbors' kids. And fortunately, I discovered early on that I liked animals much better than children. So I decided that was not going to be in my future. But for me, the whole thing is caring and then going along with it and acting on it. For example, when I've had my rescued pets, I just believed that I had to be responsible for them, provide everything they needed, never give them up for any kind of inconvenience. And when they got older or ill, let them have euthanasia rather than drag their lives out when they weren't doing well. I think caring also means looking after animals that actually aren't my own. I remember one time, and this was not the only time, I went out for a pair of shoes and I came home with 6 cats. And what happens, there was a woman in the parking lot whose husband said that she couldn't come home with the kittens, that they had to go. Oh. And there were some teenage boys who were expressing a lot of interest in taking all of the kittens, and I worried about their future, so I brought them home and kept them until the shelter had room. And I believe for me, I need to step out and do something to stop problems or to help if there is one, whether it's picking up a squirrel off the street and taking it to a veterinarian or taking in a sick mouse that was hurt or something in for euthanasia. And I do a lot of sponsoring in shelters, farm animals and wolves and those kinds of things. And I think if you really care, you need to act on it. And that's the best way that I can do it. If you're living as I am, I'm in a city in an apartment, you can't have cows and you can't have wildlife. So I think that's the best way that I can express it, along with donating and just, looking out for what I see. If someone seems to be lost or hurt, taking action.
That's wonderful.
So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Marcia, you're a good mom to a lot of animals, it sounds like.
Well, some people can manage to do everything. They can be good mothers, and they seem to have time for everything else. But I guess the fact that I didn't seem to be that eager to have children, and I just felt that so often people get so taken up in their family responsibilities and duties that other things go by the wayside. And I'm glad I did what I did. I've never regretted it or looked back.
That's great. So you've got that time that would have been spent on human children to take care of the animal children, and the world needs many, many more of you.
Well, I hope there will be more.
Yes.
I think that there's an awareness now that there didn't used to be. People didn't think that much about animals, or they, if you heard something, for example, here in town, they were going to get someone to shoot crows in a park because they were too noisy, and there was such an uproar that they gave up. And I think there was a time when nobody would have thought that much about it. Okay, they're out killing crows. Now, people are noticing, and they're saying, we don't like this.
You're right. Yeah, there is a lot of change going on. And that's that whole thing I was talking about, this feminine energy that has come into the world that seems to be moving things in the right direction.
I think there's kind of a backlash, too, I'm seeing on some of the hunting sites, that maybe the hunters and the people who are into that kind of so-called sport are feeling threatened.
There's
kind of an in-your-face attitude about it, and so we still have that to deal with, but I think we're making progress.
Yeah, and in many ways, that defensiveness that they're showing is an indication that we are making progress, that we are getting the information out there. They're really trying to woo women and children into the hunting.
Yeah, they are.
And so there again, we have to talk to our women friends and say, no, go this other way. Go Marcia's way.
On the Internet, there was recently a man who was hunting an elephant and was killed, and there have been several pictures of women who were, smiling over their dead giraffes or their lions.
Yes, I saw that.
And they were really lambasted on the Internet, so a lot of people are not liking it.
Yes, and I think people are feeling braver about saying things, now than they used to be.
Not so alone anymore.
Right. Yeah, I saw that picture of that woman who killed the giraffe. And there were a lot of comments, perhaps not real patient comments, but
Well, I think people are just
pretty critical.
I think they feel really emotional about it, and that's somehow how they express themselves. It doesn't come out too kindly, but I think, obviously they just don't like what they're seeing and they want to make it known.
Right.
And the other side is not very kind either. So.
Well, right. But back to our concept of being motherly towards the people who are committing these acts against animals. Sometimes we have to be a stern mother, a strict mother. And maybe it's with the hunters. It depends. I'm kind of joking a little bit, but it does depend. We have to be very sensitive, and I think one of the things I've learned is to ask lots of questions of the person that we're talking to, try to find out where they are emotionally so that we can find common ground, and that really helps us be good moms in that sense of helping them see the truth and be kind and find out how to be kind and how to question society when it says, no, it's okay to hurt an animal. And we as good moms teach the people, no, it's not okay to be cruel to animals, no matter what animal that is. So, and Marcia, I think you're teaching a lot just by example. When you bring a little mouse to a veterinarian or a squirrel or someone like that, you're showing them, wow, so that person thinks that kind of animal matters, and maybe they do. And so I think that sends a huge message. I had somebody say something on my Facebook. He said, since when are cows as important as dogs? And I just thought,
well,
okay, that's I hadn't gotten that one before. It really made me stop and go, yeah, so many people really, really believe that animals are different from each other, that some animals matter and others just don't. So yeah, we've got a lot of teaching to do, but I think we're getting lots of help spiritually.
Yeah, and I also wanted to chime in and just say, Marcia, I relate to your feeling of motherhood with all the animals that you've rescued and helped. I have no human children of my own, but I do have a lot of non-human children and have rescued animals of all kinds, and I feel this strong mothering presence in my life from all of this wonderful work that I've been able to do to help the animals. I never felt any sort of loss or for not having human children, because I feel very full of joy from all of the non-human children that I've helped in caring for them, and whether as if they're a companion animal or an animal that I find who's in need of care in the moment, rescuing in some way. So I think those are really important. And even I recently met a gentleman who was rescuing. He lives in the woods, and he has a very strong mothering instinct himself because he rescues all sorts of wildlife that comes across his door, that he finds in the streams or around his property. Yeah, it was really beautiful, and I was so fortunate to find him when he had just helped raise some baby skunks. and they were so cute. They were really adorable. But what had happened was they were, I think, when the mother was trying to feed them and get some food for them, she died, and my friend, he found these couple of skunks that were really just 3 weeks old, so there's no way they could have survived on their own. And he did nurture them and take care of them, and he's raising them until they're big enough and able to be able to live on their own. And he's going to then release them into an area of his property so he can feel secure that they'll be safe, but they'll also be wild. So
good.
Yeah, so I think I wanted to share that because there's so many ways to be a mother, and even for this gentleman to be a mother as well with such a big heart.
There's a wonderful true story about a guy who was a trapper, and he had trapped a mother beaver. And he lived with a woman. They lived way back in the boonies somewhere, and he was going to kill the babies because they didn't have a mother. And his girlfriend said, "No, absolutely not. You're not going to kill those babies." And so they brought him into the house and bottle fed them and raised them. And he became kind of a legend because the beavers, he loved them so much, and he lived right by this pond. It was actually a beaver pond, and they built their lodge in his house, and they could get in and out of the lodge and into the beaver lake from his house. So he kind of became a beaver himself. And it's just quite an amazing story, and they made it into a movie, actually, a long time ago. Pierce Brosnan played the part of the guy. Can't remember his name.
Wow, that is amazing. That would be fabulous to see that. And I think Pierce Brosnan, he's a great animal advocate himself.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan, yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Yes, that is. It's truly amazing when we hear those stories, because we find that there aren't a lot of the boundaries that we place between people and animals and are somewhat artificial. Once there's love involved, some of those boundaries begin to dissolve.
Right. Yeah. Well, if no one else has a question, we could play that video. Do you want to do that? Lisa's the tech.
Sure. I'm attempting.
It's called "I Will Be Their Voice" by a fellow who calls himself Vegan Smith, and it's so moving and so touching. And we wanted to share it. And if you're on the computer, you will be able to see it. Right, Lisa?
Yes, you will. Now,
can you explain that?
Yeah, I can. From my point of view, it doesn't appear that anyone is on the computer with us.
Okay.
That is the only question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute everyone and for a moment, and if you are on the computer, just say so. Let us know that you're on the computer, because that way we can go ahead and play this from YouTube. But you'll be able to see it on your computer. So let's see here. Is anyone here on the computer?
I think really the best thing would be to get the rope and do that. So it's all
I mean, I'm on the computer, but I'm on the phone too.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, if you're on the computer and on the phone, you'll be able to see it. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and give it a try, and then if you are able to view, because you've clicked onto the social webinar link, then you'll see the video. And if not, because you're on the phone, you'll probably hear it from being near my computer and Judy's computer. So I'll put everybody on mute. And again, thanks to Marcia for sharing her questions with us. And then we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah.
Well, and Lisa, let me just say this to everybody who isn't on the computer. You could, after the call, you could Google "I Will Be Their Voice" by Vegan Smith, and I think it's on YouTube, right? And Lisa, it's on YouTube,
yes,
right?
It is. Yes.
You really will enjoy it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful song, and he's a beautiful soul. So if you can't see it right now, you could see it after the call by just Googling it on your computer. Okay, we're going to give it a shot?
So, yes, we're going to give it a try. Well, so hold on one second.
This is a fairly complex system called conference call, and Lisa's been brave enough to learn how to use it. But this is that we've tried to show something, and that's supposed to be one of the perks of it, is that you can share things on the computer with everybody called in. So
So one of the things, Judy, I'll just let you know, is that for some reason it's not letting me do the YouTube view today, and that I'm not sure why. It just it will let me do some items, but it won't let me do that particular one. So that might mean that that one is not working at the moment. So I can see that there are some folks who are on that are participating with us, and I can move it to the part of the screen share. But let me give it one more try. But it doesn't look like it's working out. Let's see. Let me try this. Hold on 1 second. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. I think it's going to let me do it. Let me try that.
Well, maybe everybody's going to have to Google it after this.
I pressed a lot of buttons. Let me try just one more time. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. Looks like it should be working. Let me do one quick thing. Yes, I think it's up now. So if you do have the view from your computer, hopefully you will be seeing this. It's a box in a gray field, and it says, "I will be their voice." So if you are on there, then let me come back, and I'm just going to go ahead and unmute you so we can hear.
Now see if everybody can see it.
Oops, hold on. There you go. So if anyone's on there and can see that, please just let us know, because I unmuted you. So if you do see the YouTube box, it hasn't started playing yet, but I will push the button in just a moment. Does everybody see that if you're on the computer? Yay, awesome. Cool, this is super exciting. Okay, so I'm going to, we'll go back to mute for just a moment, and then I will start our YouTube. Make sure I can get back there, and here we go. So you'll get a chance to hear this. If you're on the phone, you'll probably hear it through the computer.
I think I know what they want to say, so I'll be there. got some extra strength in me. So I will be there, boy. I will be there, boy. I think I know what they want to say. So I'll be there. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So silent. Got the next strength. And you can be there, boy. And be there, boy. I think you know what they want to say. You can be there, boy. You celebrate, I'll celebrate. Where you shine a light, stars, dark. So barefoot and disappear. How could we not be out? How could we be excused? We've got some extra strength. And we can be there, boy. We can be there, boy. I think we know what they want to say. We can be there, boy. There, boy. Be there, boy. I think I know what they want to say. I will be there, boy. There. I will be there. I will be there.
Okay, so we're going to come back to our talking program now, and just maybe if anyone would like to share your thoughts about the song, go ahead and press 1. Looks like, see if anyone would like to make a comment. If you're able to see the video or even just hear the song.
I did want to mention, though, there's somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a couple people. So we'll go ahead and we have someone registered as me. So we're going to unmute you, and then we'll be able to chat with you.
Okay.
Hello.
Does everyone hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Hi.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. That song actually was like awesome, but it just, looking at the pictures and things just made me feel really sad. Like the beginning when I saw them and they were looking so lonely and by themselves, it just made me want to start crying.
Aww.
But the song is beautiful, but it just, anytime I see stuff like it, even though I know that I'm like trying to be one of those people that's their voice, I just get overwhelmed with it. And so when I see stuff like that, like I kind of have to sometimes like not look, because I just get so overwhelmed with emotions about those kinds of things that I'm like, I think, wow, all those things are great, like people doing that and making music and showing those images, but then I myself have a very hard time looking at them because I just get my emotions just run away with me.
I think that's one reason it's so hard to talk to people about this, because I think deep down everybody feels that, and they know what's going on, but they just can't bear to look at it. And
right.
I've shown videos on the street a lot, and I've heard people say, no, that's about animals, I'm not going to look. And so
right.
they don't learn because they can't bear the pain. And I hear what you're saying, and I think I apologize because I know what you're saying. And I've kind of gotten to the point where I've seen so much that I do look away sometimes because it's just so painful, and we already know what's going on. But I do
right.
think that the song kind of, in one short song, it kind of combines both the hope of what we can do by being their voice and also the reality of what's going on, and that's kind of what we walk around with all the time, is that
yeah.
knowledge of what's going on, but at the same time committing to hope that we can make a difference and
right.
be their voice. So, but I really appreciate what you said, because it's so true, and we do have to take care of ourselves and not
right.
overdo it and see so much that it just takes us down and we get burned out or lose our ability and our energy to do what we need to do.
Right, and that's one of the things what I love about these calls is that there are people who are able to look like those of you and are able, have gotten to a point where you can look and know that you're making a difference and be able to endure looking at that. And it gives me hope when I hear people like all of you on the calls that are able to do that and continue on and not just get overwhelmed by your emotions. And I think that's what keeps me wanting to listen to these calls, is because so that I'm not always saying, oh my gosh, I can't look at these things. I'll do whatever I can, but I just can't look. But when I hear people talking about it, I feel you know what, maybe I can get there one day. Maybe I can get there. But right now I just feel I really need to hear people like all of you on the call so that I can get stronger like that.
Yeah, that's why we need each other. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I want to also mention to you that, and to everyone on the call, that one of the new projects that In Defense of Animals has put together, it's called an animal activist helpline, and the purpose of the helpline is so that you can call the number anytime and you can have a conversation with someone if you feel overwhelmed from looking at images on the internet, or if you feel frustrated because you want to help and you just had a discussion with a friend or family member that was really off-putting. So this is actually available now to you and everyone if you are interested. And so I wanted to mention that support is available, and the details on that, I will go ahead and email everyone a little follow-up with the information about the call tonight, and I'll also send a link to the helpline, and probably I could get you to it using our fancy computer system, but it's idausa.org/helpline. And that will get you directly to the phone number, and also you can email as well. So that's one resource that's available. And I wanted to share with you directly that when I see images that are overwhelming or cause a great deal of sadness, what I do is I try to balance them out with other images. I seek out positive images, and our Vegan Spirituality Facebook page has a lot of positive images on there. It's a great way to balance out some of the negative imagery that we see doing our animal rights work. And just so you know that can really help just provide that balance. And,
great.
Yeah. You're not alone in that. I do hear this all the time, and in fact, sometimes it also happens to me as well. When I see something new that I haven't seen before, it does. I do just get thrown back into it, and then I have to really make a decision. Do I want to view this? I have to prepare myself for that. So if we do share any more videos, we'll be very clear if they have any graphic imagery so people can prepare themselves and make a decision if they want to see it or not. We will be, in general we won't be showing graphic images at all. So this was just a part of the imagery with the song, but we will be very mindful of that going forward. So thank you very much for your feedback.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Another thing to think about is that this video, you could send it to non-vegans who might be open enough to watch it and, share it on Facebook and that sort of thing. And I think that's the real value of these images, is for people who have somehow managed to avoid looking at them, but boy, they have an impact. And if you're, trying to, make your way into thinking about veganism, it really helps tip the balance. But I also wanted to mention that there's someone very special on the call tonight, Daniel Redwood, who has a beautiful CD. And you can hear his songs. I don't believe, and Daniel, you might want to get on, but I don't believe you have any videos or YouTubes yet, but people can hear his songs at danielredwoodsongs.com. Songs for people, songs for animals, people, and the earth. And they're just so wonderful and uplifting and meaningful, and very much worth sharing also with non-vegans.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Judy?
Yes.
Or am I muted? You can?
You are unmuted, yes.
Excellent.
That's Daniel, everyone.
Thank you, Judy, for those kind words. I also want to say that I think that Vegan Smythe is a superb singer and songwriter and advocate for animals and for those who support the rights of animals. I highly recommend his other songs and videos. He's put together some very, very strong videos, and he's an inspiration to me.
Mhm. Yeah. He's doing amazing work, and so are you, Daniel. You're
Thank you.
A tremendous gift to the movement and to the animals. So it looks like, did you have anything else, Daniel? I think we have.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think Marcia's got her hand raised. Can you see that, Lisa? Did we lose Lisa?
Yes. No, I'm here, and also Marcia is here as well. So feel free to ask your question, Marcia.
Actually, it's a question as much as just to say that the video was really sad and disturbing, but, those are also really motivational because you realize how much work there is to be done yet, and you feel that you just need to keep going. And I'd also like to recommend another video. Occupy for Animals has it, and I believe Australian Animal Rights. And it's just a very sad but very respectful video of people honoring animals in a way they practically never are. They're standing, and someone brings out one dead animal after another, everything from birds to cats to dogs to little piglets and calves, and they stand and hold them while Sarah McLachlan sings In the Arms of the Angel.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's just beautiful.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's
it's
in a public place, so there's a lot of
yes,
people
so people can see it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
And I believe that might be that ceremony that you're describing. I believe is from a group called the National Animal Rights Day, and if it's online at the NARD, which is THE and then NARD, they have events like this around the world, actually, where people, and I participated in one last year here in Los Angeles, where several of us held the bodies, and there's a morning ceremony that goes along with that, and then they also read a Declaration of Animal Rights. So it's a very powerful ceremony. If anyone is in the area where they're doing one, they've expanded to do them in Colorado. There's, I think, one in Toronto, but you can find that on their website. Anything that we've discussed today, I will, when I send our follow-up email, I'll send you a link so you can also take a peek at these other websites if you'd like.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, and thanks, Marcia, for your comments. Really appreciate that. Great. So I'll go ahead and put everyone back on mute. If anyone has any other comments or anything you'd like to say or share, go ahead and press, one of the numbers, 1 or 2 or any of those numbers there, and then I don't know, Judy, if you wanted to move into the closing if no one else raises their hand.
Well, we're officially over at 8, and so we kind of just eased into the question and answer section. So yeah, I've got 12 minutes after.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So I was thinking, I guess, looking at my little schedule that I wrote up, and I was kind of thinking that the I Will Be Their voice would be our closing, but it actually stimulated some more conversation, so that was really good and very thought-provoking about, for us, for our call, do we really want to see images? And I think that's something we really need to think about, because all of us have seen so much. And I know I've shown videos on the street a lot, and I've been places where videos are being shown at conferences, and I've noticed when I do that I have to kind of steel myself somehow so that I don't start crying, so that I can talk to people and answer their questions. And it's a very odd emotional space to be in. And then, kind of like you were saying, Lisa, when suddenly you see something and you weren't prepared for it, it throws you. And it's rough. And so but it is one of the reasons that we do lose people, because it is so hard. And one of the reasons that we thought vegan spirituality was so important was so that we could develop a spiritual community, because we can gain a lot of strength from being in a community where there's more of a sense of we're not alone in this, and our spirituality is a big part of the heart and soul of this. So I think that maybe we could close with something, or do we have more questions? Or are we all done with questions? From
the look of it, it looks like we're done with the questions.
Okay. All right. Right.
But I wanted to thank everyone for asking them and for participating. It really does add a lot to our call. And I think that, going forward, we'll be very sensitive regarding any videos that have any sort of imagery, because we do want to cultivate a positive space and one that's uplifting and feels good. And so just wanted to honor everybody in that way.
Yeah. And I just in closing, just a real short thing from Mother Teresa, where she said, we may not be able to do great things, but we can do little things with great love. And so don't ever feel like what you're doing isn't important. We're all doing these little things, but we're doing it with so much love that's really a pure, unselfish love. Because we're not getting paid for this. So I just wanted to leave everybody with that.
Well, thank you.
Thanks and gratitude from me for everything that you all are doing and for joining us.
Yeah, and I will echo that as well. And thank you all so much for participating and sharing this Mother's Day for all animals together with us on the call. And just to let you know, next month our call will be on the 14th of June, and we will have Dr. Will Tuttle as our guest that evening. So look forward to having you on the call then, and we'll have an opportunity to hear from him. So that'll be really, really exciting. He wrote the World Peace Diet, and Judy has referred to him several times during the call. So we're fortunate to have him join us next time.
Right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.